Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the series finale of Wilfred. Yes, the series finale just ended. Wilfred is officially over, and yeah, so I'm going to talk about it. Season 4, Episode 9, Resistance, and Season 4, Episode 10, Happiness. Honestly, guys, I'm combining this as one review because I did this last year with the Season 3 finale, and just like that, this episode worked perfectly as one episode. Really, it did. If you think about this episode worked perfectly, the way this episode was done was perfect. Everything in this episode was absolutely perfect. There was a point in time where I was thinking I was going to do a rant here, but I'll talk about when I thought that was going to be. But, you know, there was a point in time where I was going to do a rant here, and, honestly, I couldn't be more satisfied with this show. Now, not only am I going to do a review of this finale, I'm also going to be doing an analysis on this finale, because I need to do an analysis, because I need to explain something about something that happened in the finale. But overall, in my opinion, this was a very satisfying finale. I really enjoyed it, and one of the things definitely that I really loved about this finale was, like, the way that this finale was put together. Definitely was very shocking, and I really liked that about this finale. So the first part pretty much focused on, you know, Wilfred. He's dying and everything. It's all about Ryan spending his last moments with Wilfred before he dies, and just there were some really sweet scenes in there, definitely. Was this really great scene with Ryan and Wilfred, where basically, you know, I really like, you know, what happened there. There's a great speech that Ryan gives in the beginning about basically, you know, he gives a great speech about resistance and how he doesn't want to resist anything. And it was just a really sweet scene. I thought it was definitely very well done. And Jenna is very concerned about Wilfred's health. You know, she's very concerned about him, obviously. And I love that Jenna and Ryan are together. I really loved it in the show. As I said, I was very happy they decided to get them together. I thought that was definitely very well done. And basically, what ended up happening with is that we find out that Drew actually comes back to town. I was surprised when that happened, definitely. Now, Jenna was talking about Drew to Ryan before, so when she was talking about Drew, I'm like, okay, they're probably going to bring Drew back to this episode. I just thought that because I thought that was going to happen. We get a little closer with Catherine. Catherine, you know, she settled down. She, you know, is getting married to that guy. I don't remember his name, but that doctor that Ryan talked to in the other episode. You know, she's getting married to him. I thought it was a sweet conclusion to her storyline. I thought that was good. I like that we got small conclusions to really the side characters. I thought that was good as well. Basically, though, you know, Ryan's very concerned about Wilfred, and what ends up happening is Wilfred gets very worried once Drew comes back to town, because he's thinking that Drew is going to mess up Ryan and Jenna. And, you know, Ryan's like, oh, me and Jenna are fine, you have nothing to worry about. But the thing is, Jenna and Drew really have this connection. You can see that they have some sort of a connection. And there's something that they have that Ryan and Jenna really don't. You know, Drew and Jenna know each other better, and that's really what's going on between Jenna and Ryan, really. I mean, that's really what's going on there. And what is happening after this is that Wilfred gets really upset because he feels that Drew is ruining everything. He feels like, you know, he sees Drew and Jenna, you know, laughing and everything, and this makes Wilfred think he's failed. You know, Wilfred's basically like, I failed my mission. I failed my mission to be the god of happiness. I failed it. And we probably see what, in my opinion, was Jason Gann's best performance in this entire show. Wilfred literally has a whole temper tantrum. He is destroying things, you know. It was such a hard scene to watch because he literally is at the end of his rope here. You know, you can tell that he's miserable, he's dying, he's not in very good condition at all. He's in very bad condition. But I thought that scene was just really well done. The way Jason Gann decided, you know, the direction that Jason Gann decided to go in that scene was what really made that scene really memorable, in my opinion. He really made that scene really memorable, and I really liked about that scene. So, of course, what ends up happening after this is that, you know, Wilfred actually ends up collapsing because of this. And when he collapsed, I literally was bawling after this. I was bawling. Wilfred ends up collapsing, and it's really sad. He ends up collapsing and everything. And basically, after he collapses, we go back, and he's in the hospital and everything. We find out he has a few hours to live, and it's really sad. And we see probably what I thought was really cool in this episode. You know, through this episode, we saw Ryan kind of get into Wilfred's head, or Wilfred get into Ryan's head, and basically tell Ryan that, you know, I like what he told him here. I thought that was definitely interesting. Basically told Ryan that you're going to get some answers. You're going to get some answers solved. There are some answers that are never going to be able to be solved. And that was definitely very interesting when he said that, especially when we get to what the second part has to do with. But of course, Wilfred does end up dying. It's really sad and everything. Jenna's crying and everything. It's really, really sad. And I loved the part where Ryan was just, crying near him. He had that, we saw that tennis ball. And when we saw the tennis ball, I was like, oh my god, we saw the tennis ball and everything. And it's just like silence. It was just so, so sad when we saw that. So then, of course, Ryan's trying to get over Wilfred. He sees all these dogs in the park and everything. He's on a bench with Kristen, and I like that Kristen and Ryan, Kristen finally got that dream job that she always wanted. She yelled at her mom in the last episode, and I was happy for Kristen. And finally, she got what she wanted. She got that dream job that she wanted. She got a very successful job. I don't remember what the job was, but she got a very successful job and everything. So, she got a very successful job there. And I was very happy for Kristen because if you guys remember, a couple episodes back, she was actually upset at her mother because she did not have a successful job and Kristen did. Because her mother was successful and Kristen really wasn't, and Kristen wasn't happy. So, she was jealous of her mom and everything. So, I thought that was just a very good scene in my opinion. Just the way they did that scene. Again, very, very well done. I really love the closure we got with Kristen there. Just really, really well done in my opinion. Love that scene. Basically, what ends up happening after that, though, is that Ryan, basically, he he's with Wilfred and everything. He's in the park with Kristen. And then we get probably what I did not like about the episode. However, at first I was really pissed, but then I realized why they did this later on. Because Ryan goes to Jenna's house and he kind of asks her what we do from here, because he kind of doesn't really know what to do. And Jenna basically tells him that she's moving back to Wisconsin with Drew. It's not that she doesn't love Ryan, it's that really he wasn't the one for her, and that's what ended up happening, is that he really wasn't the one for her. And honestly, what happened in that scene really was that, oh, also, by the way, guys, I forgot to say one other thing in that scene. That scene in the basement that they shot was actually the last scene that they shot in the show. And that really showed. I mean, Jason and Elijah Wood looked like they were about to cry in that scene. The emotion was genuine in this episode. That's the thing I really liked. The emotion seemed very genuine. All the emotional scenes were very well done. Nothing felt contrived. Nothing felt scripted. In fact, there were scenes that we were crying where I felt it was unscripted. I mean, the scene with Wilfred throwing a temper tantrum like that, I think Jason Gann might have improv'd a little bit. I think definitely, because he seemed like he was ready to actually step out of his character and start crying, like, literally to Elijah Wood because they're ending the show, because it's the last scene. And, they were so close to cast and everything. So, I thought that was just really well done, the way he decides, the direction he decided to go in that scene. Just really, really good stuff there. Really enjoyed that. By far, the best scene of the episode. I mean, by far, that was one of the best scenes. The best scene that Wilfred has done, in my opinion, was that with Jason Gann. I mean, that was just Jason Gann's best performance. So, Jenna basically tells Ryan, look, I'm moving back to Wisconsin with Drew, and at first I'm like, Jenna, you bitch, but I kind of know why they did this. Basically, this was Ryan realizing that Jenna is not what's going to lead him to happiness. Jenna is not what's going to lead him to happiness. Jenna is actually not the girl that he needs. He doesn't need a girl in his life to lead him to happiness. And we'll get to what he needs to lead him to happiness. Basically, though, Ryan is really upset, obviously. He's really just, at this point, just really upset. He doesn't know what to do. He's walking along, he's walking and everything. And we see all these flashbacks and memories of Wilfred. And it's just so, so sad, because you see the memories of them together. And basically, Ryan walks up to this beach, throws the tennis ball into the water, and then he walks away. And that seemed like it was going to be the ending to the show, but then, of course, it was part 2. When part 2 started, I hated it. I'm going to be honest, guys. I hated part 2 when it started, because part 2 literally started like the first episode. So when they did that, I'm like, oh my god, are they about to tell me that the whole show was just in his head the whole time? Basically, what happens, I think what they were trying to show is that Ryan is getting suicidal again. He is basically like it is in the first episode, pretty much. We do see Wilfred, though, and it's very strange because we see Wilfred, who basically, is talking to Ryan. He says the same exact lines he said to Wilfred, hey, you look like shit, and things like that. He tells him that, and when he said that, I was very surprised that happened. I was not expecting that to happen at all. Now, instead of seeing Jenna in this scene, because Jenna moved back to Wisconsin, we see Catherine, his mother, and we get a very big scene here. We basically find out that his father is not his father. His father's not his father. His father, was part of this ritual with the gods of the dogs and everything. And he was part of the gods, and he was part of this ritual. And basically, Ryan is the chosen one. He was meant to be with Wilfred. Now, at this part, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I was completely confused at this point. I'm like, okay, they're ruining the show here. When Wilfred showed up, though, I was really looking forward to seeing what was going to happen. Because, of course, Wilfred and Ryan, we see them driving. We don't know where they're going. Ryan's literally like to Wilfred, where the hell are we going? And, Wilfred says, I'm not telling you and everything. So I thought that was just really weird the way they were doing that. I'm like, why are you deciding to go in that direction? I thought that was weird. So basically, they arrive at this house, and Ryan goes in, and he sees what looks like his real dad. He goes in and sees his real dad, and this is where I'm just like, okay, they are literally ruining the show right now. It's terrible. And here's where I hated it. I hated this part. I literally was about to scream at my TV, because we find out that basically the whole cult, everything, the gods, everything, Ryan's dad supposedly just made it up. He made it up. There is no Wilfred. It was some guy in a dog suit. Now, at this point, I'm like, what is going on here? Where are they going with this? I mean, because it was only 10:40. I'm like, where are they going with this? I don't really see where they're going. And basically, I didn't know where they were going there, because it's like he's talking about rituals and things like that, and I didn't know where the hell they were going. Like, I didn't know what they were trying to show there. Bruce apparently wasn't actually Bruce. His name was actually Richard, and he was hired to be like the evil dog and everything. And he only did this basically to make it more interesting for Ryan. I don't know. But Ryan, is now very suspicious of Wilfred, because he knows that Wilfred is not real, and he's trying to get Wilfred to go away. And basically, Wilfred's just not going away. Ryan is in a job, and Wilfred's there. And, Wilfred says, hey, I need to speak to Ryan, and he's, shouting, Ryan, Ryan, Ryan. It turns out, though, this is all Ryan's inner thoughts while he is sitting on that bench with Kristen. And when they did that, I'm like, that is very well done. Because here's what I'm thinking. Let's talk about a few things. Jenna. Everyone's probably thinking, what the hell happened with Jenna? Jenna, in my opinion, I'm thinking this was Ryan deciding that Jenna is not what's going to lead him to happiness. Jenna is not the girl for him. He does not need a girl in his life. He does not need a girl in his life right now. He's realizing that Jenna is not what's going to lead him to happiness, and it's as simple as that. Because basically what we see in the next scene is Ryan is just really upset. Kristen's talking about her successful job and everything. We see that happening, and Kristen asked Ryan a very important question. I was very happy she asked him this. A very important question, and it's a very, very important question. She asked him, what will lead you to happiness? And, he doesn't tell her exactly what's going to lead him to happiness. And basically, he ends up, saying to, we see him basically pleading to Wilfred. He's like, please, Wilfred. And I thought this was probably Elijah Wood's best performance in the show. This scene where he was crying, I thought was so well done. I love the way they did this next scene. He's crying and everything. He's like, please, Wilfred, I need you. I really need you. My life is not exciting without you. And he says, please, I need you to just appear. And Wilfred appears. And we get a very interesting thing that Wilfred says here. Wilfred says, I'm everywhere. I sometimes like to hang out in your mind. And basically, this makes me think what's going on with Wilfred. Basically, Ryan and Wilfred, it's the same scene as the first scene. And basically, we see them on that beach. Ryan walks up to the, he basically walks up to the beach. He steps out into the ocean, takes the tennis ball out of the water, and he's happy now. That's what they're trying to show, is that Ryan is happy now, he knows what he wants, and that's basically what they're trying to show here. Now let's talk about a few key things here that we really need to analyze and talk about. There are a lot of things here we still need to talk about. Of course, what is Wilfred? Wilfred, there is no Wilfred. The thing with his dad and the, basically, there is no Wilfred, basically I made that all up, with Ryan's supposed dad, that is all bullshit. I think what they were trying to show was that was Ryan clearing his mind of all the suspicions he's had of Wilfred. Because even though Wilfred is dead, that does not mean his suspicions are now gone. There were things that were not resolved that he wanted to resolve. And basically that was his mind resolving them for him. And also, now, the thing with Wilfred appearing at the end, of course, everyone's like, well, Wilfred's dead. What's going on there? Here's what I'm thinking is happening there. As far as Wilfred, appearing at the end, Wilfred is Ryan's subconscious. Wilfred is not only a dog. I think Wilfred was a real dog. I think that was true. There was a real dog named Wilfred. However, talking to him and seeing him, things like that, Ryan talking to him, things like that, that was Ryan's subconscious. That was, you know they say you have the good devil and the bad devil on your shoulder. Wilfred was both. Sometimes he told Ryan to do the wrong thing. In fact, there's a scene where Ryan says, all right, Wilfred, I'll let you back in, but we can't keep doing things the way we always do them, which, of course, is, Wilfred dictating to Ryan what to do. He doesn't want to do things that way anymore. And really, I think what that's trying to show is that's trying to show that Ryan is not going to, he is now completely basically realizing that he needs to mature. He can't keep making these bad decisions. He has to make good decisions if he wants a happy life. Happiness basically for him is realizing, okay, Wilfred is dead. I need to change my life. I need to fix the things that have gone wrong in my life. And basically, I'm going to start making good decisions. That's what Ryan really needs to do. Wilfred is the bad, the bad side of Ryan's subconscious. In the beginning, that's why Ryan thought he was Krungle. There is no Krungle. Krungle is the bad side of Ryan's subconscious. The side that tells him, hey, do this even though it's a bad idea. Things like that. They tell him to do those things even though it might not be the best idea. They tell him to do it anyway because it's just that idea. That's the idea that they have to do. And that's why they asked him to do it, because they think it's a good idea. And, Ryan was just thinking that probably because he didn't think about it. So, now as far as Ryan killing himself, and of course, him basically seeing Wilfred and everything. Wilfred in that scene, yes, there was a Wilfred. No, Wilfred was not a talking dog. No, Wilfred did not help him change his suicide. What helped Ryan change his suicide was realizing what he was about to do. Basically, what helped him change his suicide was meeting Jenna. Notice how when he meets Jenna, that completely changes. He is no longer focused on the suicide thing. He is now focused on Jenna. He's focused on having a good life and things like that. In fact, in Season 1, if you remember, he tried to date all those different girls and it ended up failing for him every single time. And that is basically because I think what that's trying to show, is because he kept making those bad decisions, and because of that, it didn't work out for him. There were bad consequences for what he did. However, if he starts to make good decisions like he is now, he is going to make an impact on his life and make a successful, good impact on his life. That's what they're trying to show here, is that Ryan's going to make a good impact on his life, and that's what he needs to do. He's going to turn his life around, and I think it's a great ending to the show, because it's basically like Ryan's going to try to turn his life around and make his life better. Because there was a time when Ryan was going to do that, but Wilfred stood in his way. Wilfred was not the thing that stood in his way. Ryan's subconscious was saying, no, don't do it. And again, Ryan listened to the bad subconscious. But of course, having Wilfred die, in my opinion, was having the bad subconscious die. That's really what happened. Having Wilfred die was the bad subconscious dying. All of those weird memories and all of the weird shit in the second half, those were all the bad side of what he thought was going on. And basically, Ryan was never crazy. He thought he was crazy. He thought that's what was going on. But really what was going on was just he couldn't figure out what he wanted to do, if he wanted to make a good decision or a bad decision. And I really think that's what was going on here. Now, it's a very hard thing to analyze. I know, it's a very hard thing to analyze. It's a very hard thing to explain. But really, I think that's what was really going on here. And honestly, because of that, honestly, I think what's going on there is that, Wilfred, honestly, again, Wilfred, there was a dog named Wilfred, but Wilfred did not have the impact he did on Ryan. Well, Ryan was very attached to a dog, yes, man's best friend. They say man's best friend, and really that scene where Wilfred died showed that, the thing is, think about it, Ryan really didn't have any other friends except Wilfred. He really was attached to that dog. That dog, even though it didn't talk, he was attached to it. It was his best friend. Even though, yes, he had interactions with Drew, the thing with Drew was he stood in his way of getting with Jenna, and now Ryan knows he can't be with Jenna because he needs to turn his life around first before he can focus on things like that. He needs to turn his life around. He needs to stop listening to the bad decisions he's making. That's really what's going on there. Now, let me talk about the Wilfred show as a whole. This was an extremely successful finale because of that. I mean, the whole show, we've all had those questions. In my opinion, I thought Wilfred was his conscience. I really have. Think of the things that Wilfred has taught him. Why does Wilfred and Ryan, why do they learn a new lesson every single episode? Why is that? I mean, Ryan's an adult here. Why does he need to learn a new lesson? Because it's his subconscious telling him what to do in that situation. Why did he always get into these really wacky situations? Because he did it to himself and he listened to his conscience. Now that makes all sense, and honestly, I gotta give it up to the writers. I gotta give it up to Jason Gann and Elijah Wood and the girl that plays Jenna. Her name is Fiona. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but you know, that girl, you were great as well. Everyone in this show is absolutely fantastic. Everyone did an amazing job in this finale, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. And honestly, guys, I'm really going to miss Wilfred, because I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Wilfred was the first, if you guys don't know this, Wilfred was the first FX show I ever watched. It was the first FX show I ever watched. It was the first adult comedy I ever saw. It was the first adult comedy I ever saw. It was the first adult comedy I saw. I'm excited to see It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, this was the first adult comedy I saw, and it was the first adult comedy to really make me laugh. One of the only shows that's really made me laugh and made me cry. This episode had me bawling in the first half, and the way they did that was so well done. The emotion was so well done. The twist in this episode was so well done. The psychological stuff in this episode was so well done. The way they closed out storylines was so well done. Everything in this episode succeeded so well, and I love that about this finale. And, you guys can let me know what you guys saw this finale. Was there anything they didn't wrap up correctly? Honestly, guys, if they didn't wrap up something correctly, that's because it didn't actually happen. In my opinion, if they didn't wrap it up correctly, it's because it didn't actually happen. It was all in Ryan's head, and that's why they didn't wrap it up, because it didn't actually happen. But that's basically, and the other thing, the last thing I will say is, notice how everyone now is very successful. Kristen very successful, his mom very successful. This is why Ryan is deciding now to turn his life around, because he's realizing everyone is successful, he needs to be successful. And really that speech he gave where he said, "My life is boring without you," is when he's realizing that he needs to turn his life around and he needs to, basically improve his life. I think that's really what's going on there. But that's basically it for my review of the series finale, also an analysis of Wilfred. Let me know what you guys thought of this series finale. Overall, I thought this finale worked awesomely. I thought it worked so successfully. It was so successful, and I loved everything about it. But that's basically it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw of this show. Definitely going to miss Wilfred. But they couldn't have ended it better. Honestly, when Elijah Wood said that they were going to end the show and they were going to make it extremely, satisfying, I was like, how satisfying can they make it? That's really overhyping it. But honestly, it was extremely satisfying, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. So that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in my next review, which will be my review for The Bridge. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.